Good afternoon. This is Ryan and group here at Hood Memorial Disciples Church, and we are covering Job 3 today.
Job?
I'm sorry, Proverbs 3. Yeah, we're in. So we've been walking through Proverbs, and we're in the wisdom literature, and some of the stuff that we gather when looking at Proverbs is one of the big things is it's teachings on how to have a happy, fulfilling life, isn't it? Isn't that what it's about? So the wisdom literature in general kind of looks at the natural world and looks at our experiences and teaches us to learn from those things on how to have a good life. And in one of the repeated themes throughout these writings is a statement called where it says to fear the Lord and to be the beginning of wisdom. Now, where are we at on that? What is that word fear talking about?
It doesn't mean afraid. It means respect, admire, listen to,
Right.
things like that.
Right. It's like a reverent awe.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it explained. Let's see. It's kind of difficult sometimes to translate, but it's like a true appreciation for the Lord. And when we think about God and this closeness of God, the intimacy and compassion, and sometimes we can forget, sometimes, at least I can, about the greatness of God, who threw the stars into the universe and created the world and causes all things. So the fear of the Lord is appreciation for the true God and a remembrance that God's God and we're not. Wisdom is gleaned over a lifetime. That's why I'm with present company in the room and on the phone. I'm wondering, just about everybody that I see would be more suitable to lead this discussion than me.
No.
But here we are, and I've learned from some mistakes, which is part of the deal, and still learning, definitely. So let's look at this here, and we'll read through it. So Proverbs 3, 1 through 12. What translations are you all working from?
Mine is in.
You got an NIV?
Yeah, mine's NIV.
And you got
NRV, revised
standard NRSV? Okay. Does somebody want to read 3, 1 through 12 from their translation? Okay. How about you, Beulah?
I'll be glad to read.
All right.
My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commandment in your heart. For they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruit of your crops. Then your barns will be filled with overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as the Father the Son he delights in.
Thank you, Beulah. Amen. Thank you, Beulah. What strikes y'all about that? What sticks out?
Sounds like our parents.
Sounds like our parents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Telling you what to do, how to live your life fulfilled and prosperous.
Mm-hmm. Did your parents instruct you in those ways?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Is that part of your success?
No, yes, I owe it all to somebody else, not to me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right on. So it reminded Beulah of her parents. How about you, Mom? What does it remind you of? Or what sticks out to you in that passage? Was there a certain part or anything that?
Well, you're very teachable. You're learning.
Mm-hmm.
God is the teacher, like your parents are the teachers.
Uh-huh.
If you listen, I something this morning, so I'm on my way, and I ran into some young man. I pulled up something from my past that meant a lot to me. There was good wisdom from an older woman. And I told him, I mean, it was very appropriate. Before I knew it, I was telling him what she had said to me about similar situations.
So,
and it's like God was, I mean, why in the world would I think of that, and just he put it in my head.
uh-huh.
Now, if the boy heard me, I can't really it's good to me, it's good I did. I listened to him.
Mm-hmm.
He told me.
So the passing on of information,
all participants are muted,
the sharing,
and they can unmute themselves.
the sharing from one person to another. And that's really what this wisdom literature is about. As we go through this, I know there's a couple of famous lines in there, right? The fear of the Lord it talks about, which is a theme all throughout Proverbs. And then there's also another one that I think gets repeated a lot is verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lead not in your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. In reading through that and reading through this verse as a whole, like Beulah had mentioned, it does remind you of your parents, and it starts and ends with these parent images, right? With family images. And then we're not going to get to it this week, but there in verse 13 and follows, the woman comes in. Lady Wisdom is personified throughout. So here you have father talking to his child. So this family, the emphasis on that the whole passage is booked in with family, seems to emphasize the importance of family teachings as the building block to this wisdom. And we see that this is the third dialogue between a father and his child in the book. So it's always emphasized that this is teaching throughout families, that this is how this wisdom is brought to us. Now, we will see one of the things that struck me in this is there are a series of very stark promises in here. There's a lot of promises of God that he's given in there. It starts out with these that these commands they will prolong your life for many years and bring you peace and prosperity. You will win, then on in verse 6, you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. That sounds pretty good. God will make your path straight. That sounds great. Bringing health to your bones and health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Your barns will be filled and overflowing. Your vats will brim with new wine. And then God's love assured. Even when we go through tough times and when we have to change our ways, and God is letting us know, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father and the son that he delights. So we see this different types of promises for a fulfilling life. We see a long life, peace and prosperity, a general one. favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. So healthy relationships with other people and with God. We see a way that is made with obstacles that are cleared out of the way for us. An easier journey through life. Yes, Beulah.
I guess what really not startles, but reminds us here that this verse that says, because the Lord disciplines those he loves. And I guess we fail to remember that he is teaching us, and in that he is also disciplining us.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be
Yes.
afraid or
Yes.
whatever, but to think about God disciplining us is a little out of the ordinary.
He does it with love.
Yeah,
And it's not the most pleasant thing to think about.
right.
I mean, the discipline, which I believe, and Jason, Jason's an expert on these, a lot of things, but the words and everything, discipline and disciple sound pretty similar to me, right? And it's one of those connections that we don't like to talk about because it's not too pleasant. It's not happy and feel good. We can talk about these great promises all day.
Yeah.
And that's fun church stuff to talk about, right? But the reality is it's both. And it's great that you point that out, because after all of these promises of interpersonal prosperity in general in life, economic prosperity, prosperity within our body, in our physical health, also prosperity in these virtues, in a good relationship within ourselves, and unity, peace in our own minds and in our own bodies. It ends with the Lord disciplines those he loves, just like a father who delights in his child. So it's a great point. So it's both. It's almost like God, the speaker here is reminding us right at the end, with all these gifts and all these carrots, so to speak, along the way, you're going to get some, what's the opposite of carrot? What do they say? The rod and the carrot or something like that. Yeah, you're going to get some guidance.
Who's beating on the door?
This is the one. Hey, y'all. Uh-huh.
Hey, Lacey.
So I love that. Now, all these promises, are there caveats to them? Is there a requirement? Is God in this section, before each of those promises, before each time that God tells us what God's going to do for us and the blessings that he gives us,
You need to be
that
closer.
the Lord gives us,
Okay.
he's telling us we got a part to play in it too, doesn't he?
Is that okay?
Do we have a part to play? What are we gonna do to receive these gifts? It's almost like an if-then statement. If you do this, then God's going to do that. If you do this, God will do that. So there's instruction parts, our responsibility, and God's responsibility. And as we said, not everything's always this black and white, and these other things happen, but I think the discipline along the way kind of covers when these things don't work out. That God is continually to mold this. On this side of heaven, we're going to have issues. We're going to have problems. But if we take this instruction, if these virtues and these ways of life, if they fill us, our road's going to be a lot easier and a lot more fulfilling. Let's look at these right quick before prayer time. So, first, this admonishment, keep my commands in your heart. So notice we'll hear this word heart repeated a few times in this passage. And in ancient Israel, that heart represented it represented more than the physical organ. It represented both the thoughts, the emotions, and the will. And if we think about it, what are our personalities made out of? They're kind of made of what we think and what we feel and what we choose or what we do, isn't it? So it's us. So it's almost like another way of saying, keep these things within your whole being. And we'll see that more and more as we go through. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. That love, again, is that hesed that Jason talks about a lot. That loving covenant, that everlasting compassion. Let them never leave you. Bind them around your neck and write them on tablets of your heart. I wonder if we can take a moment and do that right now. It's one thing to read through the scriptures and learn from them. It's another thing to actually take a moment and to bind them around our necks and to write them in our hearts. Let's take just a moment and see if we can do that, just between us and God. Love and faithfulness, tied around our necks and written across our hearts. As this says, then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and people. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all these ways, submit to him and he will make your path straight. So trust in the Lord, there again, all your heart. There's part of us, I don't know if you all are like me, but you ever run into the issue where part of you trust God, part of you wants to trust God, but there's also parts not so much. You ever run into that? No, good for you, Mont. Me, I can't.
I know I'm crazy.
Uh-huh.
I know God knows that, and he still loves me.
That's right. That's good. Sounds like a good kind of crazy to me. But to go and to love God with all that we are, again, the will, with all our thoughts, with all our emotions, and all our choices, to do this in love with God. Then it talks about the relationship that we have with ourselves. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. See, as we go through, and it's interesting that this book's all about wisdom and all about getting wiser. However, right here in this last, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't trust in your own wisdom. Don't be wise in your own eyes, but fear God and shun evil. Know that God is God and we're people, and all these things come from God. This will bring health to your bones, health to your body, and nourish your bones. Then we go into economic responsibilities and blessings. Good stewardship. Honor the Lord with all your wealth. First fruits of everything you got. Then you'll be overflowing with that economic also. So everything that we have is a gift from God. And to be used in God's service. And then at the end, don't despise. Again, reminding us, it's a father talking to the child. My child, do not despise the Lord's discipline. And do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as the Father, the Son that he delights in. So with all these good things and all these promises, we're still going to run into some bumps in the road. God is molding us and changing us into the people He always created us to be. So it's a reminder. Don't despise us. Let it happen. Give thanks again. And don't resent it. We'll walk through it, knowing all these things working together for the good of those who love the Lord and for God's glory. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for your great participation in joining this Bible study together. I'm going to unmute the folks, and Joni is going to do prayers.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.